In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. You're listening to In the Tunnel.
Hello and welcome to In the Tunnel. Today is June 12th, 2018. We're talking the wrap-up of the NHL and NBA season. We're talking baseball, and it is our 10th episode. My name is Jeremy.
And I'm Sean.
And we're here to recap the past week in sports. We decided to record a few days earlier than our less days in between from our last episode because, we weren't expecting that the NHL and NBA were going to wrap up, but yeah, they did. And now we're stuck in this
I'll say that
this lull where baseball is the only sport.
Well, I'll say that we weren't expecting NHL to really wrap up as fast as it did. I thought they had the best chance of going one more game, we'll get into it, but that was a possibility. But the NBA, we saw that coming.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the NBA one going maybe 5 at the beginning of the series. So the fact that it went 4
doesn't surprise us.
Yeah, it's I didn't get my gentleman's sweep that I was hoping for, but at the same time, I think the more realistic thing was that you saw after game 1, if the Cavs weren't going to be able to hang around, then the series was done from the get-go.
Yeah, game 1 did really put a dampen in the Cavs game.
It's funny because you see how the NBA breaks up the playoffs and puts in these marquee matchups, in the finals and the conference finals, they put 3 days in between games. And you think every game is its own thing. Momentum probably doesn't carry over with that much time between games. And then you get hit with the J.R. Smith stupidity thing, and the Cavs losing game 1, which was just everyone was so befuddled, didn't know why things didn't happen. And it kind of set the tone for the whole series. It was just that inability to take a step and be above the Warriors. It was more like playing catch up for the whole series.
Yeah,
each individual game.
They should have won that game for all intents and purposes.
Right, and it kind of changes how you're able to sway momentum and take if the Cavs take a game in Golden State, whereas let's be real, Golden State was going to take one, if not both of those home games anyway.
Yeah.
Golden State rarely loses, let alone at home.
Yeah, but game 1 was their best shot, and they blew it. But then the only chance they really had was game 3, and they couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. And game 1 was for the Cavs. It was their kind of surprise attack, so to speak, because it's everybody was counting them out or saying the Cavs are going to go down early, kind of like we did. And then it's how wrong would experts and how quickly would experts have changed their tune if the Cavs took that game 1?
Yeah,
it could be this is a series now, and it still could have ended up only going 5 games.
It would have been your gentleman's sweep.
Gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, and then
true gentleman.
They had the
true
chance.
Gentleman lets everyone win.
In game 3, really, it was close. But
yeah, it was close, but never to the point where
they would win.
The Cavs were going to strike.
Yeah, but those were. I at least thought that those were the only 2 chances they had to really do anything to the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And So once they didn't do that, or once they had that meltdown in Game 1, and then they couldn't do it in Game 3, it was over.
Well, yeah, I also think that if a team shows that they are able to almost or barely win, like the Cavs did, like their peak level of competing in the series was to almost get to a win or barely.
I mean, it was to
If
blow it
they
in
if
the
they
last second of
yeah
the game.
if they had won a game, it would have been to quote unquote barely survive. Uh, so if 2 of the 4 games you barely survive or like almost won, compared to the other 2 games where skill is everything and Golden State dominates you in a best-of-7 series, that still uh, will allow Golden State to win it because you can have 4 skill games the way that the pattern was drawn out to be. Like Game 7 would have been an absolute domination effort from Golden State, whereas Cleveland probably like Game 6 would have been their last one if this went 7. The way it was looking, there was no way that Cleveland was going to be able to put together back-to-back wins.
I mean, I didn't see this going past 5 anyway.
I mean, I'm just throwing some creativity and imagination into what could have been. Not that the potential was there to go that far anyway, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, they had a great chance to win, and the entire team blew it, not just J.R. Smith. I mean, sure, he had a part of it, but the entire team just blew that game.
Yeah.
And then Game 3 is the only other chance they really had to strike back because Golden State got comfortable in their home court and they dominated Game 2. And then Game 3 was
Yeah.
where the changeup happens with the switching courts. So that's really the only other time they had to at least make a strike.
Yeah, and it was funny because you see, like, I mean, at this point in the playoff or in the finals, they obviously do like the T-shirt giveaways and stuff like that, and just to see pictures of like, oh, this is what Quicken Loans Arena where the Cavs play is like. We are CLE T-shirts for everybody. Is like, yeah, that's great and all, but how about something like of a rallying variety instead of like, oh, we're all here. I just thought that was funny. Not really uh, on par with what we're talking about, but you know, now was the time like if you really want to pump up and rally behind the team and
I mean,
not just
they didn't have rally towels or anything?
nope, just shirts that said, or no, I don't. It didn't even say we are CLE. It just said CLE.
That's boring and dumb. Like,
Yeah,
at least, like,
like
the NHL playoffs, they all had rally towels.
oh yeah, and like if you got the rare hat trick, you throw it on the ice or something. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, look, man, when's the last time someone threw an octopus on the hardwood?
I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, see, NBA lacking traditions other than Golden State Warriors versus Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, I mean, hey, at least we can look forward to that one not happening anymore.
Well, hold on, is LeBron the octopus that's thrown on the floor?
If only, you'd be really happy.
I mean, he is a flopping fish.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but in all seriousness, we probably don't have to worry about Golden State versus Cleveland anymore.
Yeah, but we still have to worry about Golden State because apparently Durant is going to resign.
Yeah, I mean, that team is going to stick together.
Yeah, it is. The thing that I've heard is that, um, with Curry and Thompson obviously being drafted to the team, and Durant kind of like just getting there after they've already reached the promised land of like winning a ring. It was like, the fan base is like, we really could take or leave Durant, and like the fact that Durant just like he's not he's ring chasing, but he doesn't want to go on his own and do it.
Hey, I mean, go where you can win a ring, and that's with Golden State. It's you basically,
True.
if you want to win a ring, you got to be on Steph Curry and those guys, or with
Mm-hmm.
LeBron. Like, those are your two options, in my opinion,
It
in basketball.
it is, but the weird thing is that like I don't know. I just think it's strange that the fan base isn't as much. I mean, Durant is a top five player in the NBA. The fact that the fan base doesn't like really uh, support him unquestionably is kind of weird. Um, but at the end of the day, he's the one who controls that button. But it's going to make Golden State's bench even weaker next year. There's no way that they're going to be able to keep some of their better bench guys around
Yeah, but
if
I
Durant
mean, your
resigns.
starters are playing 30 some minutes a night anyway.
That's true, but like when Golden State won their first ring a few years ago, they rolled with a deep bench and still got it done. So I thought that like that's kind of how the system in Golden State works best, is not to put certain amounts of pressure on any one player. I mean that's why the Curry and Thompson dynamic works out so well. Is like
Yeah, they both
the ability
alleviate
to
pressure from each other.
yeah, and then you have Draymond Green playing an outstanding defense so that those guys who are like more one-way stars or one-way players can excel in what they're really good at. And then they would like have a schlub like Andrew Bogut or David Lee in there, like guys who were like, well, why were they just on this team anyway? But it worked. And then they would have Iguodala on the bench, and they'd have like Harrison Barnes, who's now in Dallas. They had a pretty stacked bench, and they got away from it. And over those 4
Yeah, but
years
you're
now to
not
now,
keeping that bench anyway, like, because they're gonna look to get paid.
I mean, it depends on the age of the bench.
True, but I mean, aside from some of the players, like, they're pretty young, some of them.
Yeah, some of them, and I think that's kind of what forced some of them to take like starting positions on other teams, which is understandable. But if you're a bench player and bench player is your peak at in your career, like you're on the back end of your career, not necessarily an older guy, but like you've kind of surpassed your peak years, then like you could probably get away with having guys just stay on the bench for 3-4 years instead of like losing guys every year.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think you're getting somewhere if your bench is full of old guys. Like, there's you do need some younger talent on your bench because you would still want to build for the future.
Yeah, no, I understand that. You need some of those older bench guys to teach some of the young up and comers. But I think on a team like Golden State, the young and up and comers are like most likely to be second round picks because they're investing so much into who's in the starting five now.
Yeah,
There's
but
no way that any of those guys are going anywhere for years.
still, like, if they even if they're on the bench, right, and
Hmm.
they're a young guy, they're gonna like they want a ring, right? What else do they need? Money.
Yeah, I mean,
And
today's NBA, you
some
can get
some
like
team is gonna pay it.
yeah, or you can get like just tons of endorsement money.
Yeah, but I mean, some team is gonna pay them. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean they'll all go to Brooklyn, play under max deals.
I mean, as probable as that is, that's not gonna happen.
No, Brooklyn would be the one team that overpays for a declining bench player and be like, oh, he's gonna show these new guys the ropes when we get our first round draft pick in like 2023.
Yeah, that's exactly like Brooklyn.
It is, and it's a shame too.
Eh.
But the other thing, getting back to like the series itself, is we found out that LeBron James, quote unquote, probably had a broken hand that he decided to show the world only after the series ended, which was extremely funny, because I don't think anyone was saying that LeBron didn't show up for the series or look like he played hurt
Yeah,
or
like
anything like
I
that.
don't
And
think
it's just
he
like,
needed
oh,
an excuse.
yeah, no, he carried that team, and the fact that he still needed to
Think up an
find an
excuse.
excuse, yeah, be like, oh, like what, what can I do to redeem myself in this situation? Is
I have a broken hand,
what
guys, and here's the cast.
yeah, like we didn't need you to redeem yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. And then it was like,
Well, aside from game one,
the
but
the rumor was that after game one he punched a chalkboard,
yeah, that's what I heard.
which is very funny because in today's tech savvy NBA that we can now see them go to like
Tablets.
tablets and the replay reviews and all that stuff.
You still have a
That
chalkboard.
yeah, there's still chalkboards in the locker rooms. That seems a little BS to me. And even if it was a whiteboard, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, whiteboards are a little
He's-
bit more acceptable because they still have those because when you're drawing up a play.
But I feel like a whiteboard has more give to it.
I mean, if it's mounted on the wall, I don't know. Because you're still punching a wall at that point.
Okay, but I feel a chalkboard is made of more solidified material than a whiteboard.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you go, like, if you punch the whiteboard, you're more likely to go through it and then into the wall anyway. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, he had a broken hand, so what? I mean, he still played fine.
I mean, but if he punched a chalkboard, don't you think LeBron James is strong enough to
Go
like
through
do
the
enough
chalkboard?
damage? No, to do enough damage that like someone on like the Warriors or like in the arena's staff would have been like, oh look, take a picture of like this hole or like crack in the chalkboard in the Cleveland locker room.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would
And
expect.
yeah, and that picture hasn't surfaced, so
We'll never know.
yeah, we never will. But it was really funny, and especially because he stepped to the press conference table, and he's like rolling his wrist and like moving his hand that's in a cast, which is clearly just like gauze and tape. It's not even like a real cast. He's like just making these motions. It's like, okay, so your hand probably isn't broken if you're like moving it so easily. And I just thought it was hilarious that like oh, it's probably broken. It's like there's not trainers that would have been able to tell you like, oh, like let's feel this you know, no sign of swelling that a trainer could have told you like yeah, this swollen area that's probably an indicator that it happened is just no, it's probably broken.
I mean, yeah, there was not really a medical explanation. And,
Yeah,
I
there
mean,
was.
it's LeBron James, so you have to assume that they did something to check if he actually had a broken hand.
I'm assuming that they didn't because I mean, he never comes out of the games in the finals.
Well, I'm not talking about during the game, but, like,
Oh yeah.
after.
Uh, it was really weird. And then to like play 3 more games
Yeah, it makes
on
no
a
sense.
quote unquote broken hand.
There's no way you're playing 3 finals games on a broken hand, let alone 1.
Yeah, exactly. It was just sad, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah, but I mean,
people will say that he was like incredibly tough and
I mean, I think he
well,
played fine. I don't think he needs to use broken hand
yeah.
as an excuse. Like, there was the one big mistake that he, along with the rest of his team, coaching staff and players included, made in the first game, and that's it.
Mhm. Like his broken hand wasn't gonna stop Steph, Clay, and Durant from scoring on offense.
Yeah, and I mean, thus concludes the expected outcome of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's a soft league, in my opinion.
I
and
mean, this is what we've waited
Just
82 regular
further
season games
verification.
for, plus the playoffs. Like,
well, in the playoffs, it was like some dude on the Rockets like had like 3 molars or something like in his mouth that he had to have removed and still played. It was like, really? Come on.
whatever.
It's like in the NBA world went crazy. Like, oh, this guy's so tough. He had 3 molars taken care of. His.
I mean, getting to
Yeah,
the point where you need to remove your molars is pretty bad.
it was
So,
molars, something in the mouth, but it was like, like, come on. In a game where you run around, your teeth being taken out is probably the least relevant, like, tough guy move.
I mean, it does hurt. I mean, you had to get socked in the face.
Yeah, no, you were right.
So, I mean, like, that's different. It's just like coming out with a broken hand after getting swept when there was like almost no reason to. That's a problem. I don't care if somebody getting like hit in the face and then having to take molars out in the middle of a game. Sure, go ahead. I mean, that has more probability of happening because there would be video evidence somewhere of you getting hit in the face.
Yeah. I mean, kind of want to see that video. The visualization in my mind is a lot more funny than NBA fans will, would like, but
Yeah, but I mean, we've been waiting 82 regular season games per team plus playoffs to get to Golden State versus Cleveland, where Golden State wins.
yay.
Why did we need an entire season for that? I do not know.
And the funny thing is, like, in the beginning of the season, people were like, "Oh, it's gonna be, everybody says it's gonna be Golden State versus Cleveland, but like, there's all these other
Yeah, I
teams
mean,
in the way. There's no way the NBA is this predictable."
to be fair,
Flash forward.
once Hayward went down, then it became basically predictable.
And the funniest thing about that is, I know you're not making a joke, but the fact is, Hayward went down in like the opening 3 minutes
Of
of
the
the season.
first game, right?
Of the season, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but like,
And against the Cavs, so is the league rigged?
oh god, really? Down against the Cavs.
Hey, if LeBron can play 3 games with a broken hand, the league can keep Gordon Hayward out with a broken ankle.
But I mean, seriously though, like prior to the season, like Boston was looking like it could contend with Cleveland for that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And once Hayward went
And
down,
they-
I was like, all right,
yeah.
well, Cleveland, Golden State, I don't need to watch the rest of the season. Bye bye.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's certainly sparked a lot of a dud.
Yeah. So you have anything more you want to say about basketball?
No, I think I've exhausted
Yeah, so-
the points I want to make.
Let's get to the more fun matchup, in my opinion.
All right, let's do it.
The gentleman's sweep of
Yeah,
the
we got one.
Capitals and the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yep.
So I mean, after a back and forth game 1, the Capitals took over for 3 games, and it became a back and forth game 5 with them just edging them out.
Yeah. Game 5 was a lot more fun to watch than some of the other games that were.
If you're going to watch 2 games in that series, it's game 1 and game 5.
It was game 1 and bookends.
Yeah.
That's what I like to call it. We just get the beginning and the end. It's the bookends.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
Vegas looked like they had him, and then all of a sudden,
it just fell apart.
Washington just had like one last burst.
Yeah. I mean, it was looking good for Vegas. Like, I mean, they went. I'm pretty sure they were down, and then they came back.
They were down
2-1?
like no, it was a 1-0. They were down, and then we're up 2-1.
Oh, okay.
And then it was like back and forth the rest of the way.
Yeah.
But Vegas was converting on the power play. They had some nice passes that opened up the net and allowed for some easy goals. It looked like Vegas was playing their game, but the thing is, they didn't shut down the Capitals from playing their game.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, I thought that was the first game and the fifth game were really good and close, and I mean, I didn't expect. I mean, I was rooting for Vegas to win. I had them going all the way, but
Yeah.
maintaining the level of play they did for the playoffs prior to the Stanley Cup,
Hmm.
that's amazing, especially for a team that was just thrown together this past offseason.
Yeah. They
They
really
had a great season.
they really uh formed a bond well, and it's not all because of the events that happened in Vegas at that time. It was just the misfit kind of line or the tag that they were thrown,
Yeah.
and they just kind of all band together on that.
Yeah, and I mean, shoes in Gerard Gallant for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to tell me otherwise. Although if there is any coach that probably deserves it now, it's the coach that got the Capitals all the way to the Cup.
No.
are you are you kidding me, man?
No, Gerard Gallant's Coach of the Year. No, no question.
Uh, we'll see. I, I, I just gotta
But I mean,
praise the
none of
Capitals
that, like,
for how they were able
to
to
be fair,
execute.
none of the playoffs should what's it called? Be
Oh,
part
that's
of
right.
the voting.
No, you're right. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. I did not factor that one in.
The Conn Smythe, right? It's the only playoff MVP.
Yeah, and it went to Ovi.
Where it should have went to Holtby, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean he had the save.
He had great saves throughout, like, all of the games, really, that really made the Capitals stand apart from Vegas, because he made some great saves in a couple of, like, those games in between where we're saying that they weren't that great to watch. I mean, Vegas still had their chances, so you can't just count them out. And Holtby was there making great saves
Hmm.
throughout the
Yeah, he
series.
shut them down. Wouldn't allow them to convert on any opportunities that would have put Vegas into the game. He was
Yeah,
on early and often.
yeah, and so, like, I mean, I figured they'd give it to Ovechkin, but I really do think Holtby deserves it more.
Yeah. I think there's just too much of a storyline for Ovechkin to have not given it to him.
Yeah, but I mean, we're supposed to be voting on the most valuable player of the playoffs, not the most interesting story of the playoffs.
Yeah, plus didn't Kuznetsov have more points than Ovechkin?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought Kuznetsov was like number one in all the playoffs in points
Yeah, I mean, I
by
could
the end of
believe
it.
that. I don't, like, nobody from Vegas was close, I don't think.
Yeah, and if Vegas won, it was going to be Fleury.
Yeah. Huh,
I
hands
don't think there was
down.
any dispute. Yeah, and I feel bad, not just because a Penguins fan, but like because for Fleury to be on a team that loses in 5 games, and it's kind of like the LeBron thing without the excuses. Like he showed up, and the rest of the team it wasn't able to like help
The
him get it done.
middle of the book, they weren't there at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, to be fair, they showed up like games 1 and 5, and they gave them a fighting chance. I mean, couldn't pull it together at the end, but
No, you're right. And look, it's hard because like Vegas did give up more goals than we were expecting them
oh,
to.
definitely. But that, I mean,
Um,
that's more attributed to the defensive play than the play of
right.
Flurry.
It was the inability to shut it down as opposed to the ability on their uh, for the goaltender to stop pucks.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I thought the Conn Smythe should have went to Holtby. Right, he was
Yeah, because
the
he
most
did
integral
what
part of them winning
right.
because he stopped Vegas from doing what they do in those middle 3 games.
No, you're absolutely right. Uh, Again, it just comes down to the story.
Yeah.
They weren't going to let Ovechkin go 14 years without making a final and then to win the cup and be like, oh, it goes to somebody else. They the league benefits from saying that one of their poster boys did it.
Yeah, I know. But hey.
It's a shame because I mean, but if the Capitals go back in the next 5 years and win another cup, then it'll be someone else.
Hey, you never know.
Oh,
Maybe this time, maybe that time
I'm
Ovechkin
hoping
will actually deserve it.
I'm hoping that I never will need to know, Sean, because
You and me both.
although I will say that I had a lot of fun uh in my apartment complex going to work the next day, and I don't know if a dude like went up to DC and celebrated, and then was just in the complex going back from like a long drive or whatever, uh, and going back to his apartment. But he was in an Ovechkin shirt, and I made sure that I rolled down the window and I said, "Well, hey, Pens still have five." And then I rolled up my window and I went to work.
Oh boy. You have to rile people up, don't you?
I mean, it's the New Jersey way.
Of course it is.
Not something I'm proud of, but it is. It is roots.
Oh boy.
It is roots. You got to poke the bear.
Of course we
And
do.
speaking of bears, Ovechkin will not stop celebrating.
Yeah, we'll see. Like,
As he should. As he should. He is living it up. But he's at this. He's like drinking to the point where like he's never like fully gone to the point where he blacks out, but he's just at that fun drunk all the time. He took it to the Nationals game, took it to a water fountain, or not a water fountain, but like a fountain statue, and was just like swimming in it. Take a penny, leave a penny, and there's Ovechkin. Um,
yeah, he's been going
it's
crazy.
it's been wild, and look, 14 years of pent up energy will, I guess,
Yeah, but
do
when's he gonna
that,
give the
and
cup to his rest of his team?
I'm guessing when he's arrested for like public indecency.
Oh, yeah. Do you really think Washington's gonna arrest Ovechkin for public
I
indecency?
mean, he was swimming in a fountain, so my guess is no.
So never.
Um, I'd say maybe if he swims in the pool aside the Washington Monument, then maybe.
But why would he like celebrate there?
Why would he celebrate in a regular fountain, Sean?
I don't know.
I mean, go big or go home.
So bring it to Russia.
And I'm sure eventually he will. He's gonna bug it. He's gonna bug the Stanley Cup. And then he's gonna give Putin his championship ring.
Of course he will.
I mean, fucking Bob Kraft, the Patriots owner, gave his to Putin.
Oh, of course he did.
Yeah, so why not one more?
Yeah, but hey, his team won, so he can celebrate all he wants.
He can. I heard some fan say like the Capitals could win like 15 games next year, and it would all have been worth it for what happened this year.
I mean, yeah, they've been waiting for a while as fans. And
Yeah,
the other thing is the team
only like
hasn't been
40
like
some years.
so bad. Like they weren't in a drought or anything of 20 years.
Yeah, no, they came off of back-to-back President's trophies. It's not like
Yeah, so
they fell from grace or anything.
they've been waiting for one. So hey, I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought Game 5 was a fitting end. It was a really nice hockey game, and it was
It
back
had
and
a game.
forth.
It had a game seven feel. It just wasn't the game seven.
Yeah, I mean, and it was really looking like it would go to Game 6.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I really do like the way that this, like, even though it was only 5, and it's a Stanley Cup, you wanted to go more. The game felt like a playoff game. It felt like an intense game back and forth, and that's really all as fans that we could hope for as neutral fans.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping for closer games
In the middle.
in the
But
middle.
all
But
I'm saying
outside of
is,
that, it got what I was expecting.
to end the season,
Just in
that's the
less
type of
games.
game I want. I don't want like a 4-0
Oh, yeah.
sweep.
Yeah, no. Which the Capitals learned from the first time that they were in the finals when they did get swept.
Yeah.
It's all they say that you always do better your second time there, and they built up a new team.
Took them what?
Changed the jerseys, changed the
Took them
logo,
what, like
changed the
15,
coaches,
16
GMs.
years?
20 some years.
20 some?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you got Yager, or was I wonder if Yager was on that first team.
But wasn't he
Capitals team
drafted
that
by
made-
the Penguins?
I mean, the Capitals. Or no, it wasn't 20 some years. The Capitals made it like 2000 to the
Yeah,
final.
18 years.
Yeah, but Yager was on. I don't think he was on the Penguins anymore at that point.
But it wasn't he? Yager was drafted with like before we were born, right?
Yeah, he was drafted in 86, 87, something like that.
So yeah, he only spent. Yeah, I don't know what team he was on. Could have been like 1 of 10.
I know after the Penguins was the Capitals, though.
Yeah, but how long? Because there's no way he stayed on the Penguins for so long that he would.
I think he was on the Penguins for at least 10 years. He didn't go voluntarily either. He was bought out.
Yeah.
Or like they were about to hit bankruptcy, so like they were able to sell the players to the league in a bought out way, kind of like that. The Yager never wanted to leave, but he did it for the good of the organization.
Well, I mean, he was sold.
It's not like their bottom.
Yeah, but I
like
mean,
bottom line wingers were gonna make
I don't
it.
think like he doesn't spend so much like in any of the other teams. How long did he actually spend? Was this like max? I thought he moved around quite a bit after that.
Yeah, after that, I don't think he spent more than like 3-4 years most with the team.
Yeah, so I mean, it might have been the Capitals, but I don't remember. So whichever team he was on.
I started.
No.
11 seasons with the
Penguins,
Penguins up
okay.
till 01. Then 3 years with the Capitals, 01, 02, 03.
So
and
right
04.
after they got to the
Yeah.
yeah. That's,
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 years with the Rangers. 1 year with the Flyers. 1 with the Stars. 1 with the Bruins. 1 with the 2 with the Devils.
Yep.
3 with the Panthers.
Yep.
And a few in like 20 games with the Flames.
And then in between that, he had time in Russia and etc.
Right, KHL stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just after.
So Yager watch, man. Yager watch. It could come back.
Oh boy.
You can't rule it out. The dude is just.
Didn't he get
He's
like
the
severely
undead.
injured in the Czech Republic or
think
something?
that's- It'd probably be easy to convince me that it happened. I don't really pay attention to what goes on in the hockey leagues overseas yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Yager, so the one hockey player we will hear about overseas is him. So.
Yeah, I mean, and Kovalchuk.
Yeah, but I mean, he's trying to come back, so it won't be overseas.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about in terms of hockey?
No, I mean, again, like I said, I thought it was a fitting end. The last game was fitting for a finals game, and that's all I could ask for.
Yep. And now we get to baseball.
Yep.
So this week we go NL Central and AL Central. Took some screen grabs this morning. Indians atop the AL Central. 5-game lead with the Tigers, Twins, within 6 games of first place. Then you have the White Sox and the Royals rounding out the bottom.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's pretty predictable in terms of who's on top, but in terms of performance and consistency, Cleveland is having a down year.
Definitely.
Their team ERA last year was 3.3 or yeah 3.30 ERA, led the whole MLB. Uh, Year before that, when they had made their run to the World Series and bought pieces at the deadline to get better, they had a 3.84. This year it's a 4.13. They're, I think, 17th in baseball in team
Can we
ERA,
also
which
just
is
mention how they're the only team over 500 in their division?
yeah, that's not good, especially because the Tigers are supposedly in a rebuild.
Yeah, but I mean,
So
still,
that
like,
speaks
how
to
do you
where this
have
division
four
is.
teams under 500? Like, and they're not just like barely under 500. Like, the Tigers are 5 games under 500. Twins are 6, and then the other two teams are just out of there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it's weird because like the Twins are supposed to be one of those teams that like, uh, was on the upswing and like they made the wild card game last year and they have the pieces like Dozier and Byron Buxton to build around, and like they just can't quite put it into drive and really make some spurt up in the standings. They're just like a mid-level team.
Yeah, and I mean, none of the teams in that division are really showing that they could be a playoff contender.
Well, the thing is that the Tigers have the payroll and have shown that they'll spend a lot of money for pieces to be a contender, and now they're this devoted to this rebuild. It makes me curious as to like if they're still in this spot around trade deadline time, what they do. Because if it is a rebuilding year, they may just ride it out completely. But if they think that like they can make the playoffs, even though they probably don't have the team to go far in the playoffs, if they'll try to buy
No,
in.
I don't think they're buying it at all. I think they just ride it out, no matter what.
Yeah, it's just tough because he only has so many years of Miguel Cabrera on the top of his game left,
Yeah, but
and like even now he's on a decline.
also, like, you gotta look, and I think this division, you have one team coming from it into the playoffs, right?
Yeah, unless someone surprises us.
No. Uh, I don't think so.
I'm not going to rule out the Twins just yet because
Eh.
there's still a long way to go, and they did make the wild card game last year. They haven't shown signs of like completely deteriorating. They've just been
They've
pretty
been pretty abysmal.
yeah, they've been stuck in neutral.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, if the Twins can somehow pick it up, sure, but I still, like, right now, the Indians are at the top with a 540 winning percentage. Right? That's like crap.
Yeah.
To
No,
be at the
you're right.
top of your division with a barely over 500, you're what? 5 games over?
Yeah. Not great. Not great.
I mean,
But like
if the
I
Twins.
feel like the AL Central has been like this for like 5+ years now. Is just like it's first place and then the rest.
Yeah, but I mean, if the Twins want to even, like, contend, they gotta start to pick it up, right? Because, what, they're 5.5 games back? So, I mean, they have to at least keep up with the Indians
Yeah,
and
no,
the
you're
Tigers.
absolutely right. No, you're right. I
And
don't know.
I mean, sure, there's still what, like 90 games left in the season for most of these teams, 90 some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But I mean,
I'm just gonna agree with you.
they're we're getting closer and closer to like All Star
Yeah,
because we're almost
less
at
than
the
a month
halfway
away.
point of the season.
Yeah, less than a month away.
So this is when you really have to show that you can be a contender by winning the important games around now, because if you just start to pick it up after the All-Star break, it's probably not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Like, you need to show some semblance of getting better right now so that you can ride something out of the All-Star break.
Yeah, and some teams, they get a little kick in the pants boost from if the front office will acquire assets at the deadline to kind of like be like, oh, we're behind you here, like make a push. But for the most part, this is that you need that push before then to kind of sway for that second push to happen.
Yeah, you need to show the front office that you're willing to go the extra mile, so they are willing to go the extra mile.
Yeah, everybody's got to scratch each other's backs.
Sure, we can use that analogy.
I mean, I'm not trying to make a joke here. That's literally what it is. If the players don't make the front office look good, then the front office sells off the players.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm a little disappointed in how small the window was for the Royals. Like, they went from World Series champs
to literally
like,
double the amount of losses.
Yeah, because like that next year after they won the World Series was like, what's wrong with the Royals? And now it's just like, just completely in the garbage.
They literally have twice the amount of losses they do win.
Yeah. I mean, that's just math. At 22 and 44, you've doubled your losses.
Yep. I mean, so
yeah.
I really don't see more than one team coming out of that, and I'm looking at the Twins to really be the drivers for that division to see how it goes, right? Because if they can
if they have the chance at contention,
right? If they can start to win their games and even just keep up with the Indians, really, because I think the Tigers aren't gonna be a major player at the deadline. Then
I think if anything they'll sell.
Yeah.
Might as well get some more assets for the rebuild.
Yeah, so I mean, I really think that the spotlight should be on them to see how the division really plays out, because under them, the White Sox and Royals aren't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
those teams are like going to be in a rebuild for the next 5+ years.
Yeah, so I mean, if we want to see a good division, the Twins have to show that they are not gonna slump even just a little bit to join the White Sox and the Royals.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't have to win the division, so to speak, but they have to
light a fire under the other two to.
Right, they have to chase and be like within striking distance, and when I say striking distance, I mean like at most a game and a half out.
Yeah, but I mean they have to light a fire under the Indians and Tigers to like win their non-division games, right? To keep up, because if at the end of the year you see a 540 win percentage at the top, you're like already only one team's making it from here.
Yeah,
and so. It's really
so far
on the Twins to light fires under the other two teams. Get them to win their non-division game.
Yeah, but first they have to light a fire under themselves.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if that doesn't happen, then we're not talking about this.
Right. We're just assuming that it can't happen.
Yeah.
And instead, I'm just saying, like, it like you said, it's if not one, then the other.
Yeah. And then, because if they don't, then that division is basically over, with the only team making it being the Indians, most likely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's a very real chance it'll be the end result. But
I mean, even if
still too much time to tell,
that is still possibly the end result, even if the Twins do manage to light a fire under the other two teams' asses.
Yeah, it still might not be enough.
It might not be enough, but I mean, it will be a good division to keep track of, because then you'll actually have fighting for that spot.
But keep in mind, again, this one of these teams has to play either the Yankees or Red Sox for the wild card game.
Yeah, so we'll see. And again, we don't know
if they'll all be for naught.
Yeah, if they don't really light that, if they really don't just get their stuff together, they're not even fighting for a wild card.
Yeah, so they need to light a fire under themselves, under the teams in front of them, and lastly in the Yankees Stadium or Fenway Park.
Or both.
Because just take them both out. No more powerhouses.
Yeah.
All right, so then got the NL Central. We got the Brewers in first place. Cubs half game out. Cardinals 3 games out. Pirates 7 games out at 32 and 33, and then the Reds are
Just done.
yeah they're basement dwelling.
Yeah. But I mean, I really do like this. See, this is a good division right now, and it'll probably be for a while
Mm-hmm.
because the top 3 teams are going to constantly be fighting right now. And then the Pirates, I mean, I don't think they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot, but I think they
Nope.
can make some type of impact because they're not really out of it yet.
They're gonna be playing September. Spoiler.
Yeah, and
Mark it
I
down.
mean, that I think they've done pretty good at that for a while.
I'm telling you, man, when the roster expands back to 40 players and that bench is deeper, and they don't have to worry about having an extra year of control on some like guy who's in Double A right
Yeah.
now. That's when they're going to be the most dangerous because they literally have nothing to lose.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're going to do well at that, and even right now they're not like completely out of it, but they're not going to be a playoff team, but they're going to ruin 1 or 2 of those teams' chances.
I'm just looking for them to be good enough to not sell off some of their top up and coming talent, and just good enough that they don't like I'd like to see a near winning season, maybe a winning season that like keeps everybody optimistic for the next year. But at the same time, when they traded away McCutcheon in the offseason, I was like, okay, this is going to be the start of another like 15-year wait.
All right, and I mean, I'm pretty sure I brought this up before, but what did you expect? I didn't think they'd keep McCutcheon as much as they probably should have.
I think I told you like I expect the Pirates to be as incompetent as they always are. Keep the guy and then like sell him when he's like on a 10 game hitless streak.
Yep, sounds like him.
It's the Pirate way, but they'll never fire the GM.
Yeah.
Or the ownership that like does not care about the product on the field.
Yep. But hey,
Make sure that they have their fireworks every Friday so that when you don't show up, you can see them from across all the bridges. Fucking losers.
But hey, as much as they're not gonna be in the conversation for a long time until we get to being
Nope.
September
Yep.
spoiler.
Yep, September spoiler. Mark it down. That's when the season starts. If you're a Pirates fan.
Yeah, and the rest
And
of the division
it ends
is
about 2
really
weeks
tight
later.
right now, and it's looking like it could be this way for at least going into the All-Star break. You're gonna see probably they are not gonna separate too much.
Yeah, well, the Brewers they had kind of like the same start, but but they had more losses. Like they were above 500 around this time last year, but it was more closer to 500, and then it kind of fell apart just enough for them to miss the playoffs. And you had the Cubs and I think the Cardinals. I could be wrong. I just am. It's like one of those automatic things that the Cardinals will find a way in. So the Brewers, this is like their second chance at cracking the code, and they're doing it pretty well. I'm not convinced yet that they're going to run away with the division,
Oh no.
especially because, like you said, this is a close enough division with the top 3 teams that like anybody can make that move. You can never rule out the Cardinals and the Cubs. The Cubs are just forking over big contracts and trying to get something out of it, and they're playing pretty well. Like they started slow. They've also had some series where they look bad, but they've kind of put together enough pieces so far in the season of late to be back within striking distance at half a game out. They're capable of going on a big run. I don't know if the Brewers are this capable of going on a huge tear in the second half of the year, whereas the Cubs, I feel, are.
Yeah, I mean,
they're built for that.
I think that the Brewers really need to make their splash now because I think they can glide through the rest of the season after the All-Star break. But aside from maybe a small surge after the All-Star break, I don't think they're going to make their splash then.
Yeah. They need a really strong first half to give them a little bit of wiggle room to kind of like have a minor slump.
Yeah, like glide
in the second half
through the rest of the season.
And still bounce back.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to slump in late August, early September, and then you're like 5 games out when the regular season comes to an end.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna strike now and then give yourself a chance to slump like mid-July, late July, and then rebound, then you have enough gears turning when it's playoff time, and you'll be in the race at more likely than not.
Definitely. But I mean,
And this is a division where you probably will have 2 playoff teams.
yeah, I can see it. Especially because
It would be crazy if the Cubs were in the wild card game though. Just looking at the standings now is like, look at what the Cubs have done and like the team that they have, and for them to be in the wild card.
Yeah, but the team that I'm gonna say, I think the Brewers can I don't think they're gonna sustain this really. So I think they're the one that's easier knocked out of the 3 than the other 2.
Yeah, I think the Brewers is going to take multiple attempts to sustain a truly successful season, but they're improving.
Yeah.
And it kind of has me curious as to how long their window of success will be once they reach it.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of their guys are in their prime already.
Yeah, but I mean, through 65 games, this is nothing to sneeze at. They're doing really well.
Yeah, they are. No, I'm not dismissing anything. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the Brewers, they're below 500 against
their own division.
Against their own division, which is not great.
Isn't it only by 1 game?
2 games, but still, it's not great. Yeah. Because when it comes down to later months of the season, you have to have those wins.
Yeah, definitely.
Because those will be tiebreaker.
Yeah, but that's why I see they're the team that, even though I mean it's kind of obvious they're the team at the top, so they're the team that you're looking at that needs to slip. But I feel like even if they weren't at the top, they're the team that I'd expect to slip the most out of those 3.
I mean, look at the Cubs, 8-2 in their last 10. The Brewers 4-6. They may be slipping as we speak.
Yeah, we'll see.
They're just in a good spot right now.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but that's all I have. I mean, it's good to look at a solid division, so to speak.
Yeah,
that has some contention to it.
Yeah, and I feel
talk more about the Cardinals, but it's just every year that there's a 70% chance that they're gonna make the playoffs, and then by late August it'll be they're gonna make the playoffs. It's just what they do.
Yeah, but it'll be good because this division has 4 teams that we probably continue talking about because I mean the Pirates are gonna come back. We're gonna rekindle September. Talking about them a little bit before September rolls around. So.
We'll see how depressed I am when we get to that one again.
I mean, you've been a Pirates fan for 20-some years, I think.
Oh, I mean, the level of depression is not really being depressed as much as it is
expecting
just not paying attention to it. No, just not paying attention to it as much anymore. Be oh, they lost. What else is new?
Yeah, so you expect the outcome.
I'll still check the scoreboard. I'll still look at a few home run highlights, but it's I'm looking at the player that they just called up, Austin Meadows, their outfielder, being is this guy going to be a good player for the future, and not really care about the score.
Is this guy going to be a good selling for the future?
Yeah, in 5 years, he might just get dealt to the Mets.
I don't think that one's a little out there.
I mean, we trade to the Mets a lot.
Yeah.
That and Houston, for some reason, Pirates and Houston are big time trade buddies.
Hey,
They
Must
send
be the
us
GM.
Wandy Rodriguez. We send them Garrett Cole.
Yeah, it must be the GM.
Morons. Well, no. Houston's GM got a ring.
But I mean, your GMs must be buddy.
Oh, and the Red Sox. We trade with the Red Sox, but never get the players that the Red Sox like paying big money to. And the Yankees for some reason. It's like,
You trade with every team, dude.
I mean, we got Cervelli and AJ Burnett from the Yankees. Like, those are our two biggest acquisitions ever. Oh, and Ivan Nova.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what we're looking at now.
Yeah. So, anything else, Dad?
Yeah, nope. That's all I got for now.
Yeah, me too. So.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week. Talk West Coast baseball.
We'll figure out something else to talk about too, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Wonder what surfing is like. How do you score that stuff anyway?
A bunch of non-biased judges looking at somebody ride a wave.
Can we just play like YouTube clips, like the audio to them? Just like instant replay audio clips of like Jim Nance or Chris Collinsworth from NFL games, like being, oh, you see here, and it's like, no, it's a podcast. We'll figure something out for next week. All right. Well, catch you guys later.